Good day, learners. Welcome back to Technical Minds for Society channel. And in today's video, we'll be discussing about the different types of programming languages. As in the previous video, we have discussed about different types of programming paradigms, according to which we have several types of programming languages. Thousands of programming languages are there, out of which only few will be discussing today. So before starting with the actual video, I'll be requesting you all to please consider subscribing the channel, and if you like our video, please like it, and if you have any questions or queries, please write down in the comments below. So coming back to today's video, on the screen you can see most used programming languages today. So these are only few examples of them, right? So different paradigms are there, and one more thing I would like to ask you, if you know which programming language comes under which programming paradigm, if you have seen the previous video, then write your answers in the comment below, right? And in the next slide, you can see we have different languages which we are going to discuss in this video, right? So first one is R, then Python, C++, Java, JavaScript, PHP, Ruby and C Sharp. As I already mentioned, thousands of programming languages are there. So only these languages we'll be discussing today. We'll be discussing their advantages, their disadvantages, and then the use cases or the real world applications where in which field we are using these languages. So let us start with R programming. So R programming has different advantages and disadvantages. The first most important advantage it has is it is an open source language. That means we can work without any need for a license or any fees. So sometimes you download some softwares, but when you try to use it, you have to use certain license key, or you have to first pay some fees to get that key for the given source code, right? So here for our language, we use it as an open source language. Anyone can use it without any license or fee. So it is easily available at cranproject.org website. You can check it on Google, or I will share the link in the description or in pinned comments. Then we have second advantage of our programming language, that it is platform independent. Either you are using Windows operating system, you are using Linux operating system or Mac operating system, or any other operating system you are using, you can use it for cross platform programming, or for independent of platform. On whichever platform you are working, you will be able to write your codes and it will be working in the similar way, right? So all the three basic operating systems which are widely used, they can install and run the R programs easily. Then we have machine learning operations, which is the third advantage we have. So as we all know, nowadays we use AI and ML in each and every project, right? So R allows us to do various machine learning operations. It has various packages which are built in, right? So these packages you download, and using that package you can easily implement the machine learning operations. So that is why it is basically used by data scientists all over the world, right? So classification, regression, these are the operations we use in machine learning, right? So it has packages for that. You install the packages, you don't have to know the code behind all these operations. You can just write that function and use it for classification and regression, and there are uh, a large number of operations which you can perform. Then we have the exemplary support for data wrangling. So again, it is used in data science as well. So R basically use the data wrangling process, in which it has to transform the messy data into the structured form. Sometimes we have the duplicate data that could be removed off, and sometimes we have the information like not available, some values are not available in your dataset. So that could be solved with the help of two packages. Mainly we use dplyr and readr packages. So when we'll be discussing our programming language in detail, then we'll be covering these packages and how they work to support the data wrangling part, right? So data wrangling means basically data cleaning type of operations. We are cleaning out the extra data and making it useful for the further analysis, right? Then we have quality plotting and graphing. So R has basically some functions and packages which you can use to create the plots. Plots could be a box plot, it could be a histogram, it could be a box whisker plot, right? So various types of plots are there which we can create using various packages, such as ggplot2 we use, plotly function package we use. So they will be easier to understand by the third person as compared to in understanding all the programming, right? So this quality plotting and graphing part helps us to make the data readable to the third person, right? Then we have an array of packages. So as already mentioned, we have a wide range of packages. Over 10,000 packages are there in crun repository, and it also is growing, right? So it is a free source and open source. Anybody can make updations in it, and they have to uh, go to the crun website or crun repository, and they can submit their code over there. If you want to add some new package, some new functionalities into the R language, right? So R is basically used for data science and machine learning operations nowadays. Then statistical part, R is very important if someone is going to learn statistics, right? So R is predominant than other programming languages for the development of statistical tools. And also it is continuously growing. That means we have changes or developments over time, right? Although we have mentioned all the basic advantages we have for R, but also there are few cons or disadvantages also in this case. So what are the disadvantages? First one is data handling. So whatever R objects we are creating, they are stored in the physical memory, right? So it utilizes or uses more memory as compared to other languages which are used in the data science, right? So it requires the entire data on which it has to work at a single place, that is memory, right? So if we are working with big data, we might not be using R in that case, because in that case all the data should be in memory on which we want to perform certain operations. Then we have the second disadvantage, basic security. R lacks the basic security, and therefore due to this there are further restrictions with R, right? So we cannot embed the R coding into the web applications directly due to security reasons. It can be easily breached. Then complicated language. So it is a bit complicated language, and the learning curve is steep in this case, and the people without any programming experience or knowledge, they will find it difficult to learn. Although if you have some basic background of programming, then it will be easier for you to understand. Then fourth disadvantage we have is weak origin. That means it do not have the support for dynamic or 3D graphics, right? So it had the older programming language S, with which R is having some sharing of origin, right? So it has originated from S language. That is why it is not supporting dynamic or 3D graphics. Nowadays we have few graphics related packages which allow the 3D generation of the graphics. Then lesser speed, it is slower than other programming languages such as MATLAB and Python, right? So because first we have to load the packages, then using that package we have to perform the operation. So memory is already stacked with different packages in that case. So and also the data we are using, that should be in the same place. So that is why it has less speed as compared to other programming languages, right? So although it has these disadvantages, still it is used in data science. So we have analysts, researchers, and some brands also that work with our language, like Facebook, Google, Bing, Accenture, Wipro. They all use our programming language to solve the complex issues, right? So this is not related to one sector only. So it is not like we are using in data science only. So we use R in banking, e-commerce, finance, many more sectors where statistical calculations are to be performed or some results are to be generated in the form of graphs. We use R language over there. So some of the important applications of R programming languages in the domain of data science are: first one is finance. So basically in finance industry, data science is most widely used, and R is the most popular tool we use for this part, because R provides an advanced statistical suite that is able to carry out all the necessary financial tasks, right? So basically we use this language in finance sector where we have to perform some risk analysis, right? We have to perform downside risk management, we have to adjust the risk performance, and we use the plots like candlestick charts, density plots, drawdown plots, etc. in this case. Also, if we have to like change see the changes um, as per time period, so we use tools like moving averages, auto regression, time series analysis, right? So all these financial applications use R. And also credit risk analysis is done um, with our tool, right? So finance industry use these statistical models or tools or packages which are there in our language. Then we have the second application, that is banking. So it is similar to the financial industry. So banking industries make use of R for credit risk modeling and other forms of risk related analytics. One example I would like to share: Bank of America makes use of R for financial reporting, right? So, with the help of R language, the data scientists which are at the Bank of America, they are able to analyze the financial losses, and they use the tools related to visualization which is provided by R language. Then healthcare is there, which is another important part of data science. So genetics, bioinformatics, drug discovery, epidemiology, these are some fields in the healthcare where we use our language widely. So these sectors, these companies which are there in healthcare, in these particular sectors which I have mentioned, they are able to crunch the data and process the information, and then they provide an essential backdrop for further analysis and data processing, right? So it has a package named bioconductor package. In this package, we have various functionalities for analyzing the genomic data, genes related data, right? R is also used for statistical modeling in the field of epidemiology, where data scientists analyze and predict the spread of various diseases. So these applications in healthcare you have widely seen in COVID times also, right? So data scientists analyze the COVID related data, and they come to some conclusions like in which age group most COVID patients were there, what is the percentage rate of certain age group of fatalities due to COVID, right? So all these statistical analyzing or prediction of some spread of diseases, that is done with the help of our language. Then we have social media, in which this is used widely. So social media is like a data playground for the beginners who start to learn data science and R, right? So there is one important part we have, that is sentiment analysis, and other social media related data mining tools are there which we use. And for this analysis, sentiment analysis, and the other forms of social media data mining, we use the statistical tools of R. Right. So what happens here is whatever data we have on our social media, that is unstructured in nature, right? So in this case, what we do, we use our programming language for social media analytics, right? For segmenting the potential customers and targeting them for selling your products, right? And sentiment is another popular category in social media analytics which we use. So, with the help of our language, companies are able to model statistical tools that will analyze the user sentiments and then improve their experiences on the social media. So, there is a package named Social Media Mine R, right? So, this package take multiple URLs and then it finds the popularity of their reach on social media. So various companies who are into digital marketing or similar type of professions, what they do, they use the R language to analyze the social media market and then they generate the leads for the user. Next application is similar to this, e-commerce. So e-commerce is the sector which uses data science widely. R is the one of the standard tools that is being used in e-commerce. So e-commerce companies use R for analyzing cross-selling products to their customers. So what happens in cross-selling? We suggest the additional products to the customer that complements their original purchase. So you might have seen on your Amazon, Flipkart, etc. When you add something to your cart based upon similar users who have bought that product, so what they do, they suggest you plus they suggest you some complementary products, like other users have bought these two products also along with the one product you have added to the cart, right? So e-commerce also takes help of our language and linear modeling is done over there and A/B testing analysis is done, right? So multiple uses are there. Then in manufacturing sector, we use like in companies Ford, Model Z, John Deere, they use R to analyze customer sentiment, right? So this helps them optimize their product according to trending customer interest and also to match their production volume to varying market demand, right? So in order to minimize their production cost and maximize their profit, they are using this R application. Apart from this, R is used for descriptive statistics. Main feature of data are summarized in the descriptive statistics, right? So then we have exploratory data analysis. ggplot2 is used for this. Then we have discrete and continuous probability distributions which you want to analyze. In that case also R is used, and for all these process we are discussing, for these we'll be using R packages, right? So these are few applications we have for R language. So after the R language, okay, a few real world use cases I'll be sharing with you. First one is Facebook. Facebook uses R to update the status. Its social network graph is generated and also to predict the colleague interactions with R, right? Then we have Ford Motor Company. Ford uses Hadoop in conjunction with R and it uses statistical analysis as well as data driven approach for the decision making. Then we use Google. So Google uses R to calculate rate of interest on advertising campaigns, and to predict the economic activity, and also to improve the efficiency of the online advertising. Then we have Foursquare company. This is for the recommendation engine. John Deere, already discussed. Then Microsoft. In Microsoft, we use R for the Xbox matchmaking service, and also as a statistical engine within the Azure machine learning framework. Then Mozilla. So R is used to visualize the web activity. In New York Times, R is used in news cycle to crunch data and prepare the graphics before they go for printing. Thomas Cook uses R for prediction and also fuzzy logic systems to automate the price settings of their last minute offers which are given. Then National Weather Service, it uses R at its river forecast centers to generate graphics for flood forecasting. Twitter uses data science toolbox of R for sophisticated statistical modeling. Trulia is a real estate analysis website that uses R for predicting house prices and local crime rates. And ANZ Bank, which is the fourth largest bank in Australia, it uses R for credit risk analysis. So these are few real life use cases for our programming language. I hope this has cleared some points about our programming language to you. In detail, our programming language will be studying in upcoming sessions. Then we have Python. So Python is when we talk about data science nowadays, two languages are used widely, Python and R, right? So there is a lot of discussion and debates over which language to use for data science, whether to use Python or R. So each and every language has their advantages and disadvantages. The use of the language that will be depending upon your exact requirements, right? So Python is more of a general purpose language, whereas R is basically for statistical analysis type work, right? So based upon your requirements, you will be using either R or Python in data science related projects. Then we have the advantages and disadvantages of Python. Moving on to advantages of Python. The first advantage is it is easy to read, learn and write because it is a high level programming language that has English like syntax, right? So as you make the sentences in English, similarly in Python you will be writing the code. So it is easier to read and understand the code, right? So you want to learn Python, it is really easy for beginners, right? Then we have the second advantage. It has improved productivity. It is a very productive language because it is simple and developers can focus on solving the problem rather than learning their syntaxes, right? So we don't need to spend too much time in understanding the syntax or the behavior of the programming language as we do in our language. So that is why we write less code and get more things done. Then it is an interpreted language. That means Python directly executes the code line by line. In case of any error, it will be stopping the further execution and it will report the error back which has occurred, right? So only one occur, uh, even if only one error is occurring, uh, okay, if the program has multiple errors, it will be showing the single error only, right? And debugging is easier in this case. So next advantage we have is it is dynamically typed. So Python doesn't know the type of variable and the variable related information until we run the code, right? So when we run the code, it automatically assigns the data type during execution. So we don't have to worry about declaring the variables, then mentioning their data types as we do in C or C++, right? Then it is again a free and open source, right? So It is free to use and distribute. Then we have vast library support. The standard library of Python is very huge. It has Python package manager, and we have Python package index, which consists of over 2 lakh packages, right? So we don't need to write code for simple functions. We can just import the package and then use it. Then portability. In many languages like C, C++, we need to change the code to run the program on different platforms, right? So as in R also we have seen, it is an independent of platform. Similarly, it is with the case of Python. You write it once and you run it everywhere. So we don't have to include any system dependent features in our code that we have to be careful about. Then come the disadvantages of Python. First one is slow speed. Now we have seen that it is faster compared to some languages because we don't have to write the whole code, but when we are executing it, it has slow speed because we know that it is dynamic in nature. So that is why we have to do the Python have to do extra code while it is executing the code, right? So Python is not useful for the purposes where speed is very important for the project. Then not memory efficient because we want to provide simplicity to the developer, so Python has some trade-off with it. So Python programming language uses a large amount of memory in this case because objects are to be created, and while executing all the objects are to be managed. So this could be a disadvantage while building applications when we have to consider the memory optimization in that application. Then it is weak in mobile computing. So it is basically used on server side programming applications, so we don't get to see Python on the client side or the mobile applications because of the particular reason, because of this particular reason, because Python is not memory efficient and it has very slow processing power as compared to other languages. Then database access. Programming in Python is easy and stress free, but when we are interacting with any database, it lags behind, right? So Python's database access layer is primitive and underdeveloped in comparison to popular technologies like JDBC and ODBC, right? So when we are using it for application for a huge enterprise, it will need smooth interaction of complex legacy data, and Python is thus rarely used in the enterprises. Then it has runtime errors. As we know, we use Python as a dynamically typed language, so data type of variable can change anytime, right? So variable containing integer number may hold a string in the future, which can lead to some runtime errors. So these are few disadvantages of Python. Then we have the applications of Python, right? So before implementing the applications, the Python programmers need to perform thorough testing of the applications first due to these reasons we have mentioned. The first application area we use is web development. So Python is used to make web applications at a rapid rate because the frameworks which Python use uh, are there, right? So there is a common backend logic that goes into making these frameworks and a number of libraries that can help integrate protocols like uh, HTTPS, FTP, SSL, right? So they help in the processing of JSON or XML or email or so much more. So already frameworks are there which we use. So some of the well-known frameworks we use are Django, Flask, Pyramid, right? So to add more security, scalability and convenience to the application, we use these frameworks. If you are using, if you are doing the web development from scratch, in comparison to that, if you are using these frameworks, that will be more secure, scalable and convenience for the company or the product you are creating. Then Second application we have is game development. So Python is used in the development of interactive games. Various libraries are there which we use, like PySoy. This is an application which, this is a library which is used for the 3D game engine, which is supported by Python 3, right? Another one we have is Pygame, which provides functionality and a library for the game development. So if you have seen games like Civilization 4, Disney's Toontown Online, Vega Strike, all these have been built using Python language only. Then comes the next application, machine learning and artificial intelligence. So machine learning and artificial intelligence, I already told you in our programming related applications also. So most promising careers and for future are there in data science. We make the computer learn based on past experiences through the data stored, or better yet, create algorithms which makes the computer learn by itself, right? So various packages are there, libraries are there, like Pandas, Scikit-learn, NumPy, and many more, which help in machine learning and artificial intelligence related projects. So learn the algorithm, use the library, and you have your solution to the problem. Now problem could be like, for example, Netflix is the application for which we are using artificial intelligence or machine learning. So what we have to do there is, we have to understand the type of videos or movies one person is seeing. Then based upon the movies one person has selected, we find out the users who have seen the similar movies, and then we find out the maximum amount of movies which are viewed by similar type of users, and then recommend them to the user. When you use YouTube also, there is some recommendation related algorithm working at backend which gives you recommendations of the videos which you might like, right? So how do they do it? They see your based upon your previous history of videos you are watching, or comparing it with other users who have watched similar movies like you, right? So they compare and see if that person which has similar interest with you, that they have seen this movie, so that system will recommend it to you. So all this data related, data science related implementation of machine learning and artificial intelligence, that is done using one of these programming languages, mostly Python, right? Then we have data science and data visualization. So similarly, we can generate different types of graphs if we are working as a data scientist. So then we have desktop GUI. So Python is used to program desktop applications also. There is a Tinker library which is used to develop user interfaces, and there are some other useful toolkits also, like WX widgets, Kiwi, PyQt, right? So these are used for creating applications on several platforms. You can start with simple applications like calculators, some to-do apps, right? So after that, you can move on to the complex parts. Then we have web scraping applications. So web scraping, if you want to pull some data from websites, right? So which could be used in real world processes, such as you want to provide some price comparison, job listings are there, research and development work is there. So there is a library which is Beautiful Soup used in Python, so which could be used to pull the data useful for such type of application. Then we have some business applications like ERP is there, e-commerce is there. We can use Python, right? And there is a platform Triton which is used for developing such business applications. Then we have audio and video applications. So Python is used for the application development of applications which can multitask and also output the media. Suppose you have some video and audio applications. Cplay is there, Timplayer is there. They are developed using Python libraries. They have better stability and performance in comparison to other media players. Then we have computer aided designing, which could be a very challenging task, right? So Python is used over there. There is an application for CAD in Fandango, right, which is developed using Python. Then we have embedded applications, right, because Python is based on C language. It can be used to create embedded C software for embedded applications. Therefore, Python is used in that case. So this is all about the applications of Python and its advantages and disadvantages. Now we have left with few more languages which we'll cover in the next video, as the video is already very long, so we'll be discussing the rest of the languages in next part. And I hope this has given you some insights about R programming language and Python programming languages and their differences. But in which case you want to use R or Python, that will be depending upon the requirements of your project, right? So that's all for this video. I hope you liked this video. If you liked it, please like and subscribe the channel, and also comment your queries down below. And in case you want some other topics to be covered, that also you can list in the comments. And also you can find our email ID in the channel description. Thank you all. See you in the next video.